Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Miami Heat told to trade Jimmy Butler for 22-year-old Golden State Warriors player. With Jimmy Butler injured, the Miami Heat snapped their three-game losing streak to win 95-94 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The result leaves them 4-5 and sitting at 6th in the Eastern Conference table. Only two teams, Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers, have a winning record in the East right now. It has been a disappointing start to the season for the Heat, and questions have been raised about whether it is time for them to shake up the roster. That would most likely include saying goodbye to Jimmy Butler. He is a franchise legend and has guided them to 2 NBA Finals since joining in 2019. But at 35 years of age, Butler seems to be slowing down and has not looked great this season. Also, his injury problems do not seem to be getting any better. His contract situation makes things complicated as well, as he has a player option for the 2025-26 season. So, all things considered, it would make sense for Miami to explore possible trade options for Butler. The Golden State Warriors are one team who are rumored to hold an interest in the veteran. Would it make sense for the Heat to try and bring in Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors as part of a Butler trade? Ben Verberg wrote in the Sporting News, "It might be time for the Heat to move on from their star player and get something in return." The Warriors have the perfect player for Miami to build around in the future in Jonathan Kuminga. The stars could not be more perfectly aligned for these two teams to make a trade. Stephen Curry and the Warriors are a win-now team, and the Heat are always looking to be one step ahead. Kuminga has seen his role diminished in the early goings of the season, and moving to a new organization could work wonders for his development. The Warriors and Kuminga did not end up agreeing a contract extension this offseason. He will be looking for a major deal next summer. The Warriors might not be open to handing Kuminga the level of contract that he might be looking for. So, including him in a trade package for Butler might make the perfect sense for them. On the other hand, the Bay Area might be the perfect place for Butler at this point in his career. He would not be the face of the franchise, but rather the supporting star to Stephen Curry as he eyes his 5th ring. The Warriors are already good right now, but getting someone like Butler could help take them to the next level. On the other hand, someone like Kuminga might fit the Heat's timeline better alongside the likes of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. Wolves sloppy throughout in last-second loss to Heat. If you're confused about what happened in the final 10 seconds of the Timberwolves' 95-94 loss to Miami at Target Center, fear not, you're not alone. So were the Wolves. A night filled with sloppiness concluded in fitting fashion as Minnesota looked lost while time ticked off a disappointing loss to the Jimmy Butler-less Heat. Minnesota committed 20 turnovers and shot poorly on a night where the decision-making was questionable across the board. And yet the Timberwolves were in a position to escape with victory with just 9 seconds remaining after a Jaden McDaniels offensive putback staked the Wolves a 94-92 advantage. But chaos ensued on the following inbounds play. Minnesota, as players described it, intended to switch everything once the ball is inbound. With that in mind, Wolves coach Chris Finch made a last-second substitution when he saw Heat forward Kevin Love run onto the floor. At that point, Finch decided to take reigning Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert off the floor in exchange for Mike Conley to help Minnesota better switch everything and take away the three-point shot. And Miami didn't get a three-pointer. It did, however, get a three-point play. Nikola Jovic got a back screen and darted toward the bucket. He caught the ball on the run and finished at the rim while being fouled by Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Jovic hit the go-ahead free throw and Miami emerged with a 95-94 victory. So what happened on that defensive possession? And what happened on Minnesota's offensive play that followed? Defensively, Alexander Walker and Conley both said Minnesota generally doesn't switch pre-inbounds in those situations. but Alexander Walker was guarding Terry Rozier, and Rozier set the back screen for Jovic. Alexander Walker in that moment is hanging back, but not expecting to switch on to Jovic. But Anthony Edwards, who was guarding Jovic, got hung up on the screen, and then simply clung to Rozier, leaving a hesitating Alexander Walker to unexpectedly take on Jovic. I know our talk was not to switch off the ball before the ball was inbound, so when I saw him set the back screen, I was a little hesitant to just go, Alexander Walker said. I think at that point, with the clock situation and everything, all bets are off, I guess, and you just have to take it. When I read it late, at that point I probably should have just wrapped Jovic up, but I tried to make a play for it. Still, Minnesota had 8 seconds to respond. But Miami committed a take foul with 3.7 seconds to play. And on the ensuing inbounds, Minnesota looked befuddled. The ref, literally threw the ball to Ant from what we were, not trying to draw up a play, but go to our next action. Ant was trying to get out of it, Conley said. The play had a passing situation to bring somebody else in, and I just threw him the ball. So we were stuck at that point, and whatever position we were in, whatever shot we got. It was just a mad scramble at the end, which is on us at the end of the day. We have to be more aware and not get lost in the moment. In the madness, Conley ended up with a decent look from deep, but it didn't fall and Miami escaped. That's on me, Finch said. End of the game, I've got to be clearer about what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball and get us some help there. It all came on a night where the Wolves were sloppy in all facets of the game. The Wolves committed 3 turnovers in the final 4 minutes to allow Miami to stick around and, eventually, steal the game. Miami played a zone that consistently flummoxed Minnesota. The Wolves shot sub 40% from the field and 29% from 3-point range. The Heat were sans Butler, who sprained his ankle on Friday. They've struggled mightily thus far this season. But they outplayed Minnesota on Sunday. Edwards had 22 points to pace the Wolves, 6-4. It was a grimy game. We kept kind of finding ways to give ourselves some advantage, a little breathing room. But we never could really soar ahead. Too many turnovers. Some ill-advised shots, Finch said. So it's a tough one. Carmelo Anthony reveals his honest thoughts about Dwayne Wade's statue. Dwayne Wade is, by all means, the greatest player in Miami Heat history. Along with Udonis Haslem, he's the only player who has been present for all 3 championships the franchise has won and has had a starring role in all of them. Wade is the team's all-time leading scorer, a first-ballot Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest shooting guards to lace them up. That's why the Heat's decision to build him a statue was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, the statue didn't reflect who he was precisely. The statue went viral because it resembles Wade's actual face so little that even Carmelo Anthony, one of his closest friends, had to crack a joke about it. Recently, Anthony shared his honest thoughts on the now infamous statue via Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Last 24 Hours and Legion Hoops. He loved the process and forgot the outcome. Notably, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. If anything, the Heat now need to do right by him by fixing his face. Of course, Wade is honored and humbled by this tribute, and that's all that matters in the end. Even so, it's crazy to think that several people may have seen the statue before the ceremony, and they still went through with it. At the end of the day, Wade and his close ones will most likely take this with humor, and the fans will make sure this story and the memes never go away, not even if they decide to fix it. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Carmelo Anthony? Leave your opinion in the comments.